Mr. Chair, we'd like to present our proposed amendments to the Oil Deregulation Act. Next slide, please. Under this proposal, the DOE is authorized to impose calibrated, time-bound oversight measures to safeguard adequacy of the country's energy supply and mitigate the adverse effect of supply disruption or price volatility during energy emergency. An energy emergency is declared by the President upon recommendation of the DOE. These measures are the following: prescribe allowable range of price adjustments on all petroleum products based on prevailing international market conditions, supply dynamics, and public interest considerations. Implement appropriate energy conservation and efficiency measures. Direct government agencies and GOCCs to assist ensuring stability and adequacy of the domestic fuel and energy supply. Temporarily take over or direct the operation of any person or entity engaged in the downstream oil industry, and such other urgent measures necessary as may be authorized under existing laws. Slide 3, please. Under this proposal also, the Department of Energy may require all participants in the oil industry to report on the unbundled price of their petroleum products and such other annual special reports. The DOE can also deny, suspend, or revoke certificates, clearances, and permits. This authority includes issuing preventive suspension orders during the pendency of administrative cases or until the violation is corrected. The DTI, on the other hand, can serve as a primary safeguard agency in protecting consumer against unfair trade practices, hoarding, and profiteering.
Excuse me, Yusek Inocencio, are you saying under the oil deregulation law that we have, pag may hoarding ng petroleum ang mga traders, wala kayong magawa? You do not have the powers to take control, to arrest, to seize those products?
Yes, Mr. Chair, under the regulation, as it is the current draft, we can, in coordination with the Department of Justice, but we have to be a declaration of emergency.
So are you saying, what if it's not an emergency under Secretary Garin? Can you answer this? I mean, dito pa lang agad may problema na ho tayo. In plain view, alam mo, meron kang information, kayo sa DOE, may magre-report na meron nagho-hoard po doon na tangke-tangke ng gasolina, petrolyo, hino-hoard niya. At pagkatapos nakarating sa kaalaman ninyo, kailangan pa pong ng mga court order, hindi ka pwedeng pumasok, wala kang kapangyarihan to seize those items?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's the problem in the oil. So that's why when we issued show cause order, we had to use other laws, Mr. Chair. Hindi based on all the regulation law. Kaya then dapat, kasi we had to go through PNP, DTI, DOJ, kung anong ibang batas na anti-hoarding, yun yung ginamit po namin. But under the oil reg, wala siyang hindi naka-state yan.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Kasi po ito, hindi alam ng mga kababayan natin na clearly, pag yung isang grupo, isang kumpanya, nagho-hoard na ng mga petrolyo para makontrol niya, wala tayo magawa. Kailangan pa natin idaan sa korte. I mean, you do not have the authority. Anong klaseng batas itong oil deregulation law?
Yes, sir.
Hindi pa yata ho kami pinanganak ni Senator JB nung ipinasa ito na walang kakwenta-kwentang batas. Go ahead, Yusek Inocencio.
Yes, sir. In reply to that, sir, we are proposing that there are two kinds of hoarding. One is by the petroleum traders, and one is by the consumer. And then for the petroleum traders, there would be a prima facie evidence of hoarding if there's an intentional withholding of petroleum products, including closure of bulk facilities without justifiable cause, posting of out-of-stock notices despite fuel availability, or the closure of retail outlet and or dispensing pump despite available stocks. Also, there would be a hoarding if there is unreasonable delay in the scheduled deliveries or in the release of petroleum products, and such other acts that may constitute hoarding. On the other hand, hoarding for consumers, there will be a prima facie evidence if there is a bulk purchase that significantly exceed normal consumption requirements without valid operational justification, repeated or multiple purchases by the same buyer within a short period of time without apparent lawful purpose, purchase of or accumulation of petroleum products through multiple containers or transactions in a manner indicative of stockpiling beyond normal consumption. Slide 4, please. We also included in our proposed regulation, although we included the Philippine Strategic Petroleum Reserve, but there is also a separate bill on this, Mr. Chair. But under this the regulation, we included it, and we said that and we proposed that there would be a requirement that the government will have a 60-day supply, but DOE may gradually adjust this volume research based on energy security requirements and available resources. For slide 5, we also proposed the amendments to include new set of violations and their corresponding non-compliances. For example, for non-compliance of the minimum required minimum inventory requirement, there will be a fine of 250,000 to 500. And in case the violation is committed during the energy emergency, the fine will be increased from 500,000 to 1 million. Hoarding by traders, there will be a fine of 250 to 500 or imprisonment of 6 months to 2 years. And then hoarding by consumers, a fine of 10,000 to 100,000 and imprisonment of 6 months. And if it's done during state of emergency, the fine will range from 500 to 1 million.
Sir, just because we have a 10-minute limit, Mr. Chair, can you go to the next slide? I wanted to emphasize lang that instead
No,
of
the
going
10 minutes, Secretary, what I meant was like
Yes, sir.
tuloy-tuloy. Pero if we ask questions,
Alright,
then
sir.
napuputol po yun.
Yes, sir. But I just wanted to make emphasis on the on the Philippine Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Why do we need the law? It's more of to institutionalize, because it can be a project of PNOC even without the law, Mr. Chair. But there could having the law will we consider that one of the most essential, Mr. Chair, is if we go to the next slide, the fiscal incentives, Mr. Chair. If you have a strategic reserve, you can use the Philippines as a oil hub, which means oil companies that are sources, pwede sila mag-store dito sa Philippines and they can sell it to other countries. They don't come here even though we have Coastal and we have our may mga tangke tayo dito sa Subic, but there are taxes involved eh. So pag nag-charge ka ng excise, papasok, palabas, VAT na naman, hindi sila pupunta dito. They'd rather that's why Japan and all the other countries have like 200 days of reserve kasi may fiscal incentive na magpatago ka ng petroleum doon, whether it's crude oil, petroleum products, Mr. Chair.
Pero kung government yon, government importation dahil buffer stock natin,
Yes, sir.
will it still be taxed dito sa inyong proposal? Or hindi na lalagyan ito ng VAT or excise pagpasok ng ating bayan?
Mr. Chair, I think it will still be charged just for parity with the private kasi baka malugi yung private. But it can be proposed by it would be the Senate's decision if we want a special treatment for government importation, Mr. Chair. Because nung PNOC yung nag-import, nagbabayad talaga kami. But I think the main one of the main talaga na let's make this country attractive as storage facility para etong mga Aramco, mga ganun na lumalapit sa atin, they'd be willing to put it up here. They can pay us rent, and in fact it might be possible that they can build another refinery somewhere else also in the Philippines, Mr. Chair.
Since nabanggit po niya yung reserves na yan, mga ilang company ba yan who are you're dealing with or in conversation na magtayo ng mga storage facilities dito sa ating bayan?
Mr. Chair, like 2-3 weeks ago, METI was here, the Japanese delegation was here to discuss this also. They're also willing to help us set up a regional reserve Ibig sabihin, pang Asia na siya. And we're actually doing, we have a TWG with them already. At the same time, they brought in the Middle Eastern countries. But it's not just, there's different Middle Eastern countries have approached PNOC, even Russian companies also, Mr. Chair. Marami yan, all over all the world. Kasi Mr. Chair, ang logic niyan, magko-crude oil ka, production ka doon, halimbawa sa Qatar or wherever. So dadaan ka ng Hormuz, no? And then lalagay mo dito sa Thailand, for example, for refinery. Ang problema niyan kasi pag kailangan lumabas siya doon sa Hormuz eh. So that's why they look for stockpiling somewhere else outside Hormuz para kahit anong mangyari doon, makabenta na sila. Nandito na sa labas ng Hormuz, sir.
Why the Philippines? I mean, parang napansin ko, you're talking now, 3-4 companies talking to us. Anong meron sa atin? I'm just curious na parang ika nga, is it strategic location? Is it because tingin lang mura yung magiging rent natin? Why do you think they're interested?
I think, sir, they're also spreading it out. Meron sila niyan sa iba't ibang bansa din eh. So they're also willing here. Kasi maganda rin ang location natin. We're practically in the middle of, ang logistics niya, barko lang naman magdi-deliver eh, no? So ang logistics na mas madali. And also I think because we publicly announced it, and kusang lumalapit sila when they heard that Philippines is interested in putting this up, sir. I think they're on the lookout consistently naman para lang mailabas yung produkto nila sa region nila, sir.
Before I forget, Secretary Garin, doon po sa nabanggit ninyo na mga amendments na proposals po ninyo for all the regulation, parang wala ko kayo nabanggit na pwede kayong makialam o magtanong kasi correct me if I'm wrong, tama po ba ang pagkaintindi ko sa all the regulation law na ang gobyerno hindi pwedeng magtanong sa mga oil companies kung magkano ang profit nila, magkano ang kinikita nila for every peso na increase sa gasolinahan natin? Parang wala hong ganun dito sa amendment ninyo.
Sir, meron pa. We have included the power to require them to make the reports on their unbundled costs. But even prior to, the DOE has already issued 2 years ago a circular already requiring them, but it took a while for us to implement it because it was questioned. But now they're already
Who
reporting.
questioned it?
The
Lisa?
participants, sir, but it has been resolved. They're already reporting. That's why we were able to make some we were able to already impose the range of increases and decreases during this emergency.
Pero for now, pag may increase sila, hindi natin pwedeng pakialaman kung magkano. Kung kunwari 90% yung kanilang ika nga kita or tubo or profit, we don't have control kung magkano ang gusto lang i-profit. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if you allow me, sir. Yes, sir. That's basically all the
Is that
regulation.
it's
Yes,
in
sir.
all the regulation law?
It does not authorize or empower DOE to regulate the price, Mr. Chair.
Who the heck passed this law? Parang ngayon ko lang po narinig. Sabagay, hindi pa po kami mga mambabata siguro nung naipasa ito. Diyos ko po naman, siguro kung dito na kaming tatlo, baka kami ho'y tatayo at kokontra dyan. Not allowing the government to interfere kahit na 90% na o 100% na kita or profit, hindi pwedeng makialam, hahayaan lang.
Sir. Yes, sir.
That's ridiculous, Secretary.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, that's why welcome yung declaration ng President ng energy emergency because we could use the emergency powers. Kaya tsaka na lang kami nakadictate on the increases or adjustments, no? Pero before that, Mr. Chair, inulit-ulit namin tong all the regulation. It was the spirit of the law at that time. I think during its time no 1998, baka yun yung kailangan para i-liberalize yung market. But times are changing and I think your committee is the right track na i-review na to.
Pero nung panahon na hindi naman malalaki ang pera ng tao, ng mga consumer, malalaki ang sweldo, pero I mean, allowing these companies, this corporate, I'm sorry but I mean, I know this is business, pero kung the government cannot already control how much profit, kung 100% na profit niya na, sobra-sobra na yung profit niya per liter, kawawa po yung taong bayan. We also have to take a look at our consumers. So I don't know how this law was passed. Does this law was passed? Siguro it's really high time, and I don't know if my colleagues here will agree with me. It's really high time. If we don't have to review this law, basura na ho natin dahil talagang wala hong kakwenta-kwenta sa punto ko po eh. The way I'm looking at it right now. Anyway, that's all for me. SP Gatchalian, do you have any further question or Sen JV?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think marami tayong natutunan dito sa Iran crisis, no? And I think ang pinaka-importante dito is to learn from those weaknesses and amend the law if necessary. And I can see that the DOE actually learned from those weaknesses and proposed some amendments to the deregulation law. Now, the deregulation law was created precisely because we want to attract private capital to go into the oil distribution, importation, distribution business so that government can already get away from that. Dati kasi gobyerno lahat no? And PNOC lahat, Petron, pero ngayon private na. Para sa akin, it's okay to attract private capital as long as hindi naaabuso rin ang ating consumers. Kasi kung unabated, especially wala tayong visibility on the pricing, wala tayong visibility doon sa kanilang cost components, talagang kung anong gusto nila i-charge sa consumer natin, i-charge lang nila yon. And especially right now, that almost 100% of our oil imported. So in other words, dependent talaga tayo sa private and imported oil. So ang aking nakikita is we cannot completely give that power to the private companies because oil is such an important basic component of our economy and also of our livelihoods. Kumbaga, ibinibigay na lang natin sa kanila 100% na walang kinalaman ng gobyerno, walang visibility ng gobyerno, at magre-rely na lang tayo on whatever they say or whatever they disclose. Ang nagiging mas malaking problema diyan pag nagkakaroon tayo ng crisis, no? Kasi pag nagkakaroon tayo ng crisis tapos ang gobyerno inutil, kawawa tayo lahat, no? Kawawa tayo lahat. So ang aking punto naman dito is government should have certain amount of power to regulate prices even though it's in a deregulated environment, and at the same time assure the public that the prices are reasonable, monitored, and within a reasonable range. So yun ang nakikita kong important learnings natin from this Iran crisis. At the same time, we can also encourage them to stock up some more, no? Whether government and private or just private, ang importante ngayon is to make sure that we incentivize entities to stock up. Kasi actually, I have to give credit where credit is due. Si Secretary at that time, talagang everyday sina-assure niya yung public, meron tayong 40. Of course, gusto natin mas maraming inventory, pero at that time, agawan talaga eh. But I have to give credit to Secretary Garin na hindi tayo umabot sa punto na nawalan tayo ng langis, no? There was a time talaga, akala ko mawawalan tayo ng langis eh, no?
Sure.
Magrarasyon, no? But I have to give her credit na hindi nangyari yun sa atin. But the learnings there is we need to increase our inventory levels, whether onshore, offshore, whether it's physical inventory. We need to have some mechanism to assure the public that in times of crisis, meron tayong supply na pumapasok. So those are the two things that that we need to work on, and we need to work on fast because any crisis can happen again tomorrow, next month, diba, kailangan mabilis tayo ngayon o umakto.
Mr. Chair, if I can, sa power kasi sa electricity, kami yung policy making, pero merong ERC that determines the price. Sa oil, wala po, sir. There's no entity or regulator on the price. It was left for competition. No, meron tayong PCC ngayon na mapantay. If you remember, sir, kasi konti lang naman yung competitors dati. Ngayon, we have very good local companies that are in the industry already. Kaya I think that's the gap. Senate can look at it at ganun yung trajectory na gusto natin, na a certain degree of regulation on the price. Right now, wala talaga. We leave it to competition, Mr. Chair.
It's a delicate balance, no? Because on the other side, we want the private companies to invest, no? And we want them to make reasonable profit, no? Because when they invest, obviously, the expectation is to make money, no? And that's normal, no? We will allow them to do that, but we cannot also allow them to make unabated profits. Kailangan may certain regulation or regulatory powers on government, especially during times of crisis, wherein we will assure the public that the oil companies or the private sector is not abusing the situation, because the situation is ripe for abuse, and we have to assure the public that government is on top of things, and that's where I'm coming from, whether during times of crisis or whether the entire year or even outside of the crisis, yun ang dapat natin tignan. Hindi lang during crisis, kasi may mga times rin na hindi naman crisis pero ang fluctuation masyadong malaro, no? So the point I'm trying to make is government should have a certain degree of voice and regulation and visibility on the pricing, so that meron tayong confidence na hindi tayo inaabuso, no?
Before I pass this to Senator JV, kung meron siya mga questions. Uh, Tama po yun, for everyone here to know na hindi naman po kami kontra sa negosyo, of course. Tama po yun, I mean investors. Pero yung without limit po na nakikita na po ng taong bayan na walang magawa ang gobyerno sa walang habas na pagtaas, walang habas control na sobra-sobra po yung profit, wag naman hong ganun. I mean, and then you mentioned kanina yung ERC. Isa pa po yan siguro sa next hearing po natin about power naman. Na siguro kailangan, it's high time for the ERC to also check siguro kung tama pa ba yung yung electricity rates po natin. Kasi may alam po ako doon po sa amin sa Palawan na yung power cooperative po doon, taas po ng taas, brownout naman ng brownout. Okay lang ho yung magbayad ka ng mataas na kuryente, tuloy-tuloy yung serbisyo, pero kung tuloy-tuloy din naman ang brownout pero taas pa ng taas, parang hindi naman, nakakahiya naman, di ho ba? So we really have to really review this, yung IPIRA law siguro. Senator JV, if you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It was pointed out by our Senate President earlier and the Chair that one of the things that really came out during the crisis, yung pong fuel reserves, no? And it was mentioned by our good secretary that there really is a need to increase, no? Kasi hindi naman natin iniisip ito, no? Until this crisis came about, no? Japan has a 250-day fuel reserve, tayo po nasa 60 lang. I understand. So, Secretary, tanong ko lang, doon po sa plano ninyong to build these reservoirs or fuel reserves, how many days po yung mga ilang days po yung target natin para po tayo at least we feel secure.
Mr. Chair, the current proposal is 60 days. That can be increased also eventually kasi we have to consider ang presyo din, because construction pa lang yun, yung 5 billion ng tangke. Wala pa yung goods dyan. So, and then currently, the total available storage of the country, of the private, is up to 60 days lang siya. So, ang plano sana madagdagan natin ng 60 pa with the
So aside from
reserve.
the
Yes, sir.
private companies who have about 60 days, we will have our own na another 60 days. So mga 120 days total. So yung 5 billion po, the cost, that's for how many liters? That's for how many days po?
1 million barrels is good enough for about 5 days, Mr. Chair. Kaya
Marami.
maraming billion
So
yan
that's about 12,
eventually.
12, 12 million barrels kailangan natin for 60 days. So ilang ano, kasi pag marami ng zero, nahihilo na ako eh. Pero mga ilang total nun, that's
And Mr. Chair, that's exponential. Ano? So the idea is, let's just have the companies store it here instead na tayo magbabayad ng inventory. Facilities ng atin as much as possible. So we can have our own minimum na ilang days, pero we can also have other companies store it here and have a condition na kung in case of emergency, dapat may mariretain dito sa bansa, Mr. Chair.
how long to build for example itong mga 1 million barrels capacity kasi kailangan na po natin to, no?
We've been talking about it with MIC, PNOC, and the oil companies. So, siguro, yung 1 million na yan, mga 1 year ang construction. The rest will follow kasi ang importante may port ka, tapos may mga linya na para para i-connect ang mga tangke sa port mo. So that I think we can do in 1 year, the initial. I think the private companies would do this better, pero the rest can just follow year on year, dagdag lang tayo ng dagdag, Mr. Chair.
It's a good thing that you mentioned that, Mr. Chair, no? The Secretary mentioned that it's not just mere building the reserves alone. Kailangan natin yung ports and the other reserve facility and the other support facilities. Being also the chair of the chair of Committee on Finance and also the one that would defend the budget of the DOTR, which includes support, siguro po kailangan by this time we have to have a coordinated already plan for this, no? Para if we have to take this into consideration during this next budget hearing so that we can have this already dapat po makapag-take off na yan this year given um, the the importance, no? Because nakita na po natin importansya po niya nung itong nangyaring crisis. Ang tanong, what's music to my ears, Mr. Chair, dahil nga po sa pinoproblema namin ng ating Senate President, yung ating pong, because of our economic growth this year na medyo mabagal, our very limited fiscal space, kala ko kasi medyo definitely this will cost. Pero maganda sinabi ni Secretary Garin, hindi po sila manghihingi ng budget, no, to build this because she will have to source she has already seen where to source, no, like sa PNOC meron po tayong 10 billion that can be tapped and be used here, and probably Mr. Chair, Mr. President, yung pong ating Maharlika Fund, no? Ito naman tong mga to, walang talo ito eh, no? It can be used here, probably doon sa, siguro tanong ko na rin po, Mr. Chair, with your indulgence, so po sa NGCP, from what I know, yung shares dapat, although another topic, one of the intentions of the Maharlika Funds was to acquire the shares of yung entity owned by the Chinese State Grid Corporation. So are we still pursuing that? Tsaka gusto rin na malaman kung paano nagamit yung tong wealth fund na ito, itong Maharlika Fund. Because I think, Mr. Chair, with the itong sa energy sector, doon po sa reservoir, pwedeng gamitin yan with the NGCP. Wala naman ho silang talo, and that would be advantageous to the government kung magagamit ang ating pong Maharlika Fund for this.
Mr. Chair, there's the PNOC corporate funds that can be made available. Kailangan lang ng GAA instructions yan na pwede siyang gamitin. There's the MIC at yung private companies. In fact, some of these companies would be interested actually in joining this venture. Lahat naman nag-express ng interest because this is much needed in the country. So hopefully with what we're designing, we won't get it from the GAA, Mr. Chair. Para the government can use it in more basic services, Mr. Chair.
Siguro, Mr. Chair, before we continue, just the Chair Committee on Finance, the Secretary mentioned that it needs to be allowed, no, during the General Appropriations Act, being the Chair of the Committee on Finance, please let us know so that you please write us so that we can include this already as one of the provisions so that we can tap already the 10 billion fund of the PNOC that can be used to construct this reserve fuel tanks. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, with
Yes.
your permission. In 2001, actually hindi na pala bago itong Strategic Petroleum Reserve, no? In 2001, the DOE issued Department Circular 2001-09-0028, no, establishing the Philippine Strategic Petroleum Reserve Program. So it's not a new idea. And during those times, there were talks on embarking on a feasibility study as well comprehensive research. Ano ng status ng feasibility study and mga comprehensive research? I know si Rino ang pinakamatagal na dito sa DOE, so I know alam ni Rino ito, no? So it's not a new idea, but what we want to understand is what is the feasibility aspect of this idea?
Mr. Chair, at that time, kasi the IEA, International Energy Agency requirement, minimum requirement is for have a 90-day crude oil talaga siya. So at that time, ang naging approach nung JOGMEC, topped by METI, kasi Mr. Chair, ang JOGMEC is the operating arm ng SPR ng Japan. Sila talaga yung nagmamanage ng SPR. So, rightly so, sila yung kinontak ni METI. And at that time, ang study pa lang ni JOGMEC at that time is to give us an idea kung magkano ang cost of building a 90-day crude oil storage capacity and the product at that time. Parang dalawang component pa lang. The idea of that is just to give us an overview muna, and then later on, if the DOE nga and the government will decide, we can calibrate kung diretso ba tayo ng 90 days or we can do it by pacing. Yun ang idea nun. The next step would have been the in-depth study kasi nga ang consideration at that time, at yun pa rin ang consideration ngayon, is for PNOC to study the specific area of Bataan. Yun din po ang idea. Kaya lang po, at that time, for some, kasi nawala because of the change in administration. So naputol po yan. And it's only during this leadership now of our current secretary na ito pinag-usapan uli. So now, the approach now as discussed by the secretary, nagkaroon ng nexus na ngayon. In advance na ni secretary namin yung discussion with METI at nabuo na. This time, it's more comprehensive participation kasi nandyan na yung METI, nandyan yung area which is the research arm ng METI, andyan yung JOGMEC which is the technical consultant, at pumasok na rin ho ang JICA which is very interested in financing for free muna yung study. At of course, pumasok din po, na-invite ho nila yung ADNOC at saka yung Saudi Aramco because ang interest ng dalawa is to use us as a hub. At ang kanilang proposal is for crisis situation, may priority rights tayo doon sa naka-imbak nila. But for normal circumstance, they will be allowed to be the hub for the Asia Pacific region. As part, kasi meron na rin sila sa China, meron din naman sila sa Japan, parang an additional lang na hub dito sa Philippines. So, with the instruction of our secretary, nasundan na ho yung meeting na yon just this week. Kaya lang ang pinapauna ho, and we remember it always, Mr. Chair, yung palaging guidance ni Senator Win sa amin is the committee chair of the Energy Secretary, give us the study, don't ask for fund. without the study. So kaya sinusundan na ho namin ang gustong ipatapos ngayon ni Secretary at ng side ni METI is unahin yung study. And this meeting, the second meeting, at least si METI nag-decide na kung sino yung itatap niya. Which is na-decide niya yung meeting ngayon this week na si IRIA and JICA will partner with each other, including JOGMEC, to conduct the study. But this time, iba ho ang study. Talagang nakasentro na ho doon sa Bataan at saka sa PVDIC in Mindanao. Iba na, hindi na overview because we dissuade them to still go to the overview. Kasi in the end, hindi naman overview ang ilalapit namin sa Congress eh. yung talagang proyekto doon sa Bataan at proyekto doon sa PVDIC just in case. So yun na yung pinapasentro ngayon. At masusundan na po ito nung scoping. Yun na ho ang ilalatag next week na meeting. Yung scoping ng schedule ng team, ng SPR team. Kasi may create si Secretary na Strategic Petroleum Reserve Team, counterpart na ng Philippine team, doon sa METI team ng Japan. So naka-pipeline na ho to Mr. Chair. Ang pray lang namin, even if there will be a change in administration, we hope sana na makontinue. This can only be done if we have the law. Pag wala ho yung law, puro lang tayo circular.
Well, chicken or the egg, Director Rino, dahil itong Strategic Petroleum Reserve, it's not gonna come for free. No,
Yes.
there's a cost to this. In fact, yung mga estimates, if ito benchmark lang no, for $80 per barrel, for every 30 days, it's about 30 to 35 billion. More or less lang, more or less. Obviously, pag 60 days, doblehin mo yun, 70 billion. Pag 90 days, it's 106 billion. So we're talking about 106 billion worth of inventory inside the country. No? So hindi siya maliit na pera. No? In fact, pag PNOC will be the one undertaking this, pagdating ng budget season, lalapit yan kay Finance Chair JV Hercito, he has to defend. PNOC needs to defend why they need 100 billion pesos. No, kung meron man 100 billion sila in order to store petroleum. So in other words, we will need to see the economics and the financials. In a best case scenario, sana kumita siya. No? Sana kumita siya. Meaning we build the tanks, we put the inventory, or somebody else will put in the inventory, and we make money. But this is also a strategic policy direction. So meaning we also have to weigh the strategic value of this project. No? So kaya ang pinakamagandang mangyari moving forward is to have that feasibility and financial study as soon as possible. We're very supportive on this concept, but we also need to see how much the government will spend and if ever government will make money or government will break even or government will not make money, but we will have that assurance of having a petroleum reserve. So all of these things should be carefully studied and weighed. No? And the sooner we have that, the better.
Mr. President, and Secretary, and Attorney Rino, I believe in my last conversation with the ambassador of the United Arab Emirates, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, and I think you have to consult with them on this, kung tama yung pagkarinig ko, because he was saying they will build this for free.
Gastos lahat
Oo,
sila.
sila ang gagastos. That's what he was saying. Yung maghanap tayo ng lupa. So that's just, but with the other secretary, with the other companies you're talking about, METI, may money out tayo dito.
I just wanted to distinguish first, yung atin, yung national reserve natin, and we're also selling our area to be the regional hub. That's why there's interest from METI and also from the ASEAN. Ito yung ginagawa ng METI ngayon na they're doing silang gumagastos, pag-study, bringing all the experts. Ang funding ng project, that's I guess that would be part of the results of their study. No? But that's why also they brought in etong mga Middle Eastern companies kasi ito yung willing maggumastos din. There are again, there are different types of setups na pwedeng natin gawin na tayo mag-build sa kanila yung inventory or sila mag-build ng lahat sa kanila rin yung inventory or it can be a mix of any of those. But that's why I'm trying to distinguish from our Philippine Reserve and then the regional reserve. Kasi yung Philippine Reserve, I think we need to really have some of that just to make sure na meron tayo under our control, mga ganun. And then there's the strategic hub, which can be the lucrative business for the Philippines. One thing is why we need the government has to have its own tanks. Now PNOC has about 1.6 million barrels. Times 159 liters yan yung per barrel. We're paying for rent na pinapatago natin yan ngayon. We don't want to unload pa hanggang the emergency is not lifted. Pero gastos din yan eh. But instead of paying hundreds of millions for the storage, pwede naman na atin na lang pala yung storage. And that's the idea, sir. Now let's keep it. We have our own area. And then the extra, our local companies will be willing to use that also.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
that's no, I'd like to thank our secretary for prioritizing this, no. Tsaka it's a good welcome development that she's already exploring and talking to these big oil companies that they will spend, no, for this oil fuel reserves, no, yung mga depot. Alam nyo, during this time, no, yung palapit ang budget season, kaming chair ng finance, allergic kami dumikit sa mga secretary eh. Kasi ito yung panahon na humihingi lahat eh. But this time, sabi nga ni Secretary Garin, hindi kami hingi. And I'd like to commend them for at least ito gumagawa siya ng paraan, no, na at least kinausap yung mga oil companies for them to build or for them to come in and build this oil reserve. So malaking bagay po yan. Thank you, Mr. Chair.